So over the past couple of years, I've been realizing that I really need to get a new 5-weight fly rod. It's what I use for bigger water, trout and salmon fishing. I did a bunch of research this year, looking at different rod companies, and what I wanted to really do was I didn't want to go out and spend, a bunch of money on a fly rod and recommend that to you guys, because a lot of people aren't looking to spend, $700-800 on a fly rod. I wanted to find something reasonable for you guys that I could recommend to you if you're just getting into fly fishing, or even if you're a seasoned fly fisherman or woman and you're just looking to pick up another rod. I wanted to find something with a low price point and that was had quality components and was a quality rod. So I talked with Tate over at the Moonshine Rod Company, and he hooked me up with one of their 5-weights, Drifter. And Tate said that this was probably one of their most popular rods that they have. So I figured I'd give it a shot. It's a $200 rod. When you go and look at quality fly rods, $200 is on the very low end of that. You can spend, $500 to $800. So at $200, it's a pretty good rod, and I'll show you another reason why it's a pretty good deal. So this is what you get when you order your rod from Moonshine. This is a really nice rod tube, and it's hard plastic. When you open it up, it's got a little sleeve in there. You can see the pieces are all assorted. This is a 4-piece, but you can see there's actually 5 pieces. And this is why this is a pretty good deal. They actually give you 2 tips. So they're not different weight tips or anything like that. They're actually the same exact tip. But the reason they do that is for not if, but when you break that tip. Because I've had nice fly rods that I've broken tips on multiple times. Whether you get snagged in a tree and you're trying to unsnag it and then the tip snaps, or you shut it in the tailgate, or just something stupid that happens, you break the tip and then you got to get a whole new rod. So what they do is they give you 2 tips, which is awesome. So that's a really good selling point right there. The other thing is that they have a lifetime no-fault warranty. So you break the thing, I think you just gotta fill out the warranty form and all that stuff, and they'll send you a new one. You can see it's a matte brown color, kind of a vintage color, I would say, with the copperish brown wraps. One thing I actually like a lot is that the guides are like a copper color as well. Usually they're just like a basic silver color, but these are like a copper gold color, which I really like. We'll look at the actual base of the rod here, so you can see there's their logo and all the specs of the rod there. A nice cork handle and a nice reel seat with some nice wood grain in there. And what I do like is that they actually have 2 locking nuts on here that actually have rubber on them, so they stay nice and seated. I've had trouble before with some cheaper fly rods where the nuts kind of back off and the reel gets loose, so this really clamps down good on your reel. You tighten that first one up and the rubber kind of compresses and holds that nut there, and you tighten that second one up and it really holds your reel on there really nice. And I like the color of that reel seat too. It matches the theme of the rest of the rod there. Now, like I said, I have not used this rod, so I can't really give you a review of it right now, but later in this video we're going to go try it, catch some fish on it, and then I can do a better review. And this is probably going to be over the course of a couple months, just for when I can get out and get some filming done. When it came to picking a reel, I went with Redington again, and I got the Redington Rise, the 5/6 weight, I think they call it. This is the green color reel, but I put the gold spool on there because I got 2 spools. I got the green spool that came with it, and I got a spare spool so I can have a floating and a sinking line. So here it is. It's the Redington Rise. So yeah, this is the rod we're going to be using this year, and probably for quite a while, many years I hope. And yep, we'll link everything in the description, and let's go try this thing. I'm excited. I had a chance to, really put some hours in with this rod. I used it on, from the bank, flowing water, still water. I used it on the river. Sick. Used it from a drift boat, from a dock, all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
So I really kind of tested this in a whole bunch of different applications.
Yeah. Put him back in here.
Yep.
Sweet.
You know, generally a $200 rod is a lower end to mid-range fly rod. And what you're going to usually sacrifice on that is, a lot of the time, is going to be components. So your reel seats aren't going to be as nice, your guides aren't going to be as nice, your wraps and epoxies and finishes are probably not going to be as nice as a higher end rod. With this rod, it's not really the case. As I showed you before, this reel seat here has the double locking nuts on there. That usually doesn't come on a lower end rod at all, and especially this burl wood here. You know, a lot of times it'll kind of just be a piece of plastic or just a standard piece of wood that's not even finished. They put a nice piece of wood in there. It's got some nice grain to it. So on Moonshine's website, it says this is a comfortable medium action, stiff enough to get your line shooting long distances, but soft enough to where it's a true pleasure to fish. Roll casts and beautiful double hauls are in your future. Effortless casting ability for all skill levels. I 100% agree with that. This is a medium action rod, like I said. I was able to get nice tight loops, nice and controlled. It also felt like I had really good energy transfer with this rod when I was loading up to do a long shoot a line out there. You know, I was surprised how many times I would kind of wind up back and forth, you know, get a few false casts going, and then when I shot the line, it would take up every little bit of slack that I had in my shooting line. It was super easy fishing from a drift boat. You know, typically when you're in a boat like that, you don't need to cast all that far because you're in the run or close to it. So, you know, just a little flick of the wrist to get that fly out there, and it was effortless. And it loaded up really nice on the fish too. I was able to keep those fish pinned all the way to the boat or all the way to the shoreline. So with a dry fly line on here, I noticed I could get pretty accurate casts with it. You know, and that's pretty important because, you know, you may only have 1 or 2 chances at a run to fish it correctly.
I might get a picture of that one just because it's kind of cool.
I also fished streamers with this rod with the sink tip, and that worked great. The sink tip line I could shoot just as far, probably further than the dry fly line. No issues there at all. I would add that,
nice, you know,
this is a 5-weight rod, so some of the weighted streamers you might want to bump up to like a 6 or a 7 weight if you're going to be fishing a lot of like the sculpins or, you know, big bead heads, things like that. But this rod can do it. Just, you know, beefed up my leader material a little bit so I don't have that little bit of a hinge point there when you cast. So all in all, this is a great rod to get. I would not hesitate to buy this rod if this was my first rod, my second rod, my 10th rod, 100th rod. It's just a good one to have. It comes with a second tip. I mean, who else does that? You break that tip, you don't have to worry about it. You get a second one right there in the bag. So that right there is worth its weight in gold. The only issue that I have with this rod, I have one issue, and that is it. And I didn't think it was going to be an issue. I thought it was going to be great, but you can see it has these white dots here, which are awesome to have. Usually lower end rods don't have those dots on there, and that's just so when you put your rod together, you know to line those dots up and your guides are on straight. Well, I noticed that the first 2 sections with the dots lined up, they were out of whack. They were twisted a little bit. So my dots either, you know, it could be just specific to this one rod that I have. I can't imagine that they're all like that, but they were out of a line a little bit, but no big deal. You just twist it back, or just realize that when you put that rod on, the dots have to be off center a little bit. No problem. And that's the only issue that I had with this rod. It performed flawlessly for me. I'm going to be using it a ton on this channel, and I might even get another one for streamer fishing. I might get like a 6 or 7 weight. I don't know. We'll see. I'll also be interested to try one of their nymphing rods that they have, but I don't know if we'll get into that this year or not. Anyways, guys, I'll leave you with a little bit of footage here to check out as I sign off here, and we'll catch you guys later in the next video.
There you go. Exactly. Oh, that's a good one. Let me get this in. You Annie. took the top fly too.